Yeah, because I'm making in May
Seeing that the time is upon us and we have a quorum, I would like to call the meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please? Ms. Nash.
Mr. Nino?
Here.
Mr. Gomes?
Present.
Mrs. Boland? Here. Mr. Carlin? Dr. Flowers?
Present.
Mrs. Haynes? Present. Mrs. Sylvia? Here.
Thank you. We can all stand for the pledge of the flag.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask you all to take a moment of silence. Please keep the following individuals who have passed away in your thoughts and prayers. Richard Seal, brother of John Barksdale and stepbrother of Corey Barksdale, Rogers High School custodians. Billy Lyons, the brother-in-law of Anna Marie Johnson, Pell Para-educator. Eileen Connors, cousin of June McGreevy, Rogers High School librarian. Maureen Fierick Danforth, aunt of Nicholas Cassis, TMS custodian. Jack Michael, brother-in-law of John Callahan, Pell custodian. And then, of course, Mr. Warren Ross Vance, who is the father of Jared Vance, Rogers High School principal. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next on the agenda would be the appointments to certain subcommittees. We have following individuals are recommended for appointment to, and this is our recommendation upon approval of the school committee, is Ms. Tracy Westman, Principal Pell Elementary, Jessica Rosa, parent and Rogers High School teacher, and Mark Munter is a parent. These are for the school building committees. And then for the following individuals appointed to the TAN negotiating subcommittees are Dr. Sandra Flowers, Raymond Gomes, and Kathleen Sylvia.
I move the appointment of extension.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Next would be public comment. Ms. Nash, do we have anybody signed up?
We do not.
We do not. Student council update. I believe we have Elise around here somewhere. Ms. Jane, are you here?
Hi, I'm Jane. Spring sports begin this upcoming Monday after school with the exception of both the baseball and softball seasons, which began on Monday. Brian Neal and Gianna Pino wrapped up the indoor track season in New York City at the National Indoor Track and Field Championship. Brian competed in the 25-pound weight throw and placed 15th overall, with a personal best throw of 63 feet and 7.25 inches. Gianna Pino placed 34th, throwing 42 feet and a quarter inch. The Armor hockey team advanced past North Kingston Monday night in a 4-1 victory. They begin their 3-game Division II semifinal series tomorrow at Portsmouth Avenue Rink at 7:30 versus Coventry. The Unified Basketball team recently started up their season with a win over the West Warwick Wizards. The score was 45-39. Sean Perez and Lillian Radcliffe played well. Today they took on the Tiverton Tigers. The Rogers yearbooks are now on sale for $60, and the yearbook class is now accepting orders for celebratory announcements. For the next couple of weeks, all Newport public schools will be participating in Pennies for Patients. Be sure to donate your change and help raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. At Pell, the 2-week gratitude exchange started Monday with school-wide assemblies. This is an effort to join the larger organization, look for the good project to help kids grow to their full potential. There are lots of exciting things happening now in Newport Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. you. Nice job. All right. The next thing we'd like to do is we have some recognition of some art contest winners, and what I'm going to do is I'll mention the names. Dr. Flowers is going to go up to the podium. We'd like these great young students to come up and get recognized for all their good work and their artistic ability. What we have is the following students were recipients of the Aquidneck Land Trust Art Contest and were honored at a banquet on February 1st at the Atlantic Resort. Grade 9 through 12 art teacher Ms. Sheehan. Ms. Sheehan, thank you very much for all the work you do. First place will be Catherine Warner, Rogers High School, grade 9, $250 plus a $500 award to the Rogers High School for Environmental Art Education. Congratulations. Right over here and see Dr. Flowers.
Dr. Flowers.
There you go. Nice job.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have in second place, Miss Lily McCarthy, grade 12. Lily? All right.
Lily's not here?
We'll give the awards if the children aren't here. We'll give them to Ms. Sheen for it. Yeah. And then third place will be Anna Kate Murphy, grade 11. On grade 5 through 8, we have our art teacher, Ms. Icard. Ms. Icard, there she is. Very good. Thank you very much. We have second place winner for that grade level, and we have Jada Lynn Unger from Thompson Middle School, grade 6. Jada here. And Wendy Lopes from Thompson Middle School, grade 8. Is Wendy here? No, we'll give these to Ms. Icard. Thank you, Ms. Icard. And then grade 1st through 4th, our teacher would be Ms. Sheehan once again. We have second place Ava Wright from Powell Elementary School, 4th grade. Wait so Graham can get a picture of you. Hold on. You get it?
Oh, okay, now I know who she is. I'm taller than someone.
Good job, Ava. And then third place in this grade group was Joseph Renfro from Pell Elementary, grade 4. Is Joseph here? All right. Hold on, we gotta get a picture. Turn around. Get a picture. Good job.
Dr.
Get
Flowers.
up and hug him, Dr. Flowers. Get up on.
Nice job.
Excellent. Great job. All right, the next group we have are going to get recognized for the Rogers High School Science Fair winners. What we have, where's the list of names? Do you have them? Kathy, I don't think I have. Oh, I do. All right, Rogers High School 2017-18 Science Fair. Science Department at Rogers High School recently held its annual fair. Bryce Murphy was the overall winner for his project investigating the efficiency of smoke detectors. Is Bryce here? All right. Second place honors went to Owen Martin, who studied ionizing radioactive decay. I know I saw some of that.
Perfect, beautiful.
Noah Manuel placed third place with his study of gamma radiation on the vitamin C content of fruit. There's no one here, all right. Congratulations. Studied electromagnetic pulses to garner 4th place recognition. All right. Division, we have Jack Arforth built and tested different designs for a what? Trebuchet? Trebuchet, sorry. A medieval catapult. Second place went to, I'm sorry. Went to Eliza Taylor for her underwater turbine created with a 3D printer at Rogers High School. We could use one of those around here. We also had 2 honorable mention projects. Alex Dizon for investigating the amount of fat in food, and Benjamin Trainer for his growth of plants and various types of artificial light. I don't want those 2 gentlemen make it. All right. Make sure we get these awards then. The Science Department and all the participants wish to thank the judges who came from Salve Regina University, URI, Inspire Inventimental, UMass Dartmouth, the Highlander Institute, Thompson Middle School, the Norman Bird Sanctuary, Newark, retired faculty, and RHS alumni for all their support. And the winners will represent Rogers High School at the State Science Fair competition in March at CCUI. Go Vikings. Good job, guys. Yes.
Wasn't ready for this.
Okay. Hi.
I saw something on YouTube, and you know what I'm getting?
I don't know. I can only imagine.
There was a rocket was launched,
Oh, yes.
okay? And I just wonder, after it went up and it started down, what happened to it?
So parts of it fell apart, and then parts of it were retained, and so they traveled quite a distance.
Yeah, was any of it recovered?
Some of it was. Depended on, we did a couple different tests with rockets, and so it depended, a couple of them,
It went way up.
yeah.
Okay.
Mrs. Dilly, first of all, I want to thank you, because I know this is a lot of work on teachers preparing this, get the kids to prepare it, and it seems like it's grown every year, how many classes does it involve now?
We started off with just doing it with the AP Science classes, so that was AP Chemistry, AP Biology, and AP Physics. And since last year, we decided we should have our honors chemistry students do it as well. And we had such success with that we decided again this year to have honors chemistry do it, and we'd like to extend it to other students who might be interested in doing it as well. But we do make it a requirement for honors chemistry and the AP Sciences.
Wow, just excellent. Thank you so much for doing it. It just brings great recognition.
Absolutely. We had some very nice Rogers alumni, your son being one of them, judge as well, so that was really helpful.
Nice job. Thank you very
Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs.
Good job. The next thing we are up is we're at our action items. First will be the request for approval of the 2018-19 school calendar. Superintendent Jermaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This evening you do have the school calendar in front of you. I'm recommending this calendar to move forward. I am also recommending that in the calendar you have before you, that we put the Thompson Middle School conferences by itself and put RHS and Pell conferences together. The reason I'm stating that is because of the age difference, and on your calendar it states Rogers one day and then the other two on another day. That's one of the changes, and I'm also recommending it. You'll notice the asterisk. The asterisk says pending teacher negotiations, because we'd like to consider having it be a half day for students, early release day, kind of what they used to do back in the dinosaur days when I was growing up, and then in the afternoon have conferences from 1 to 6.
Is there no change to the break?
The only, some of the changes is in front of you this evening is we are starting to try to have more seat time and class time for our students, and to try to get out of school earlier. So you'll notice that the February break next year will have 2 days, and then we will go to school Wednesday through Friday. The second thing I want to bring to your attention is graduation for Rogers High School. Graduation will be on Thursday, June 6th, which is different in the past. Portsmouth has graduation on the 7th next year. So we did not want to conflict with the Portsmouth school systems, because even though we're 3 separate school systems, we have a lot of close relations in all the different school systems, and we also have families that attend multiple graduations. So Rogers will be moved to Thursday for next year.
Thank you. Is there any motion?
Make a motion to accept the calendar.
Second.
It's been made by Mr. Gomes, seconded by Ms. Sylvia. Any discussion on this calendar proposal? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The next would be request for approval of policy. We have 2 policies that are going up for a second reading. 4771, service animals in school, and 4325, non-discrimination. Dr. Flowers, is there any, this is a second reading for these, I believe?
Everything remains the same, no suggestions or additions or deletions were submitted. A lot of work was done on the first one, the service animals in the school.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve 5.2, 5.3 on the second reading.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gaines. Any discussion? Ms. Bowen?
Okay, I have a question. This one's for the lawyer. So, when I started reading this, I know that some of you will be surprised, but it includes the fact that we can bring a miniature horse to school. If in fact it's certified, all kinds of rules have to take place. But what happens, I'm just going to say this. I have a daughter that's literally, she will die if from an exposure from a horse. Okay, so she grew up, and I had to make sure that she was never going to parade behind a horse. When she's had very scary close calls. What would happen, right, and this could happen to another child, what would happen if she was going to Rogers High School and another child had a horse, brought a horse in as a service animal? Whose rights would be, how would that happen? I mean, who would she have to leave the school? Whose rights would take precedence?
Yeah, there's all sorts of elements to review and look at and balance. You've got to look at a lot of different things. There's 504 plans, there might even be IEP plans that come into play relative to all of those things. So I don't think it's a black and white answer. You've got to look at a lot of different things. I think the concept of a miniature horse is not one that you would expect to see too often, but tough to speculate as to how it would all play out. But you'd have to review all elements to it and ultimately come up with the best decision and best plan for the students involved.
Okay, we're just bringing it up because it could happen.
Sure.
It also could happen with the dog.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion on these 2 items? All in favor of the passage of the second reading?
Aye.
Any opposed? So noted, thank you. This one coming up, 5.47, 7310, snow removal. This will be the first reading. I believe we asked to hold off a little bit, Mr. Harris, to answer a few questions on this particular one. Dr. Flowers?
Yes, it clarifies the snow removal practice, giving what the plant engineers and custodial staff, the conditions that they're supposed to be adhering to training and so forth, and when they're supposed to be completing such an activity. Putting this kind of a policy in really emanated from a request from Mr. Harris.
Okay, is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So noted. Thank you. Final would be request for approval of venue change for Rogers High School graduation. This is something that I don't know how it precipitated, but Mr. Vance has brought us some news about a venue change. Mr. Vance, you want to just brief everybody on what the venue change is?
Yeah, so just based on some experiences I've had with graduations and peer promotions, looking to shift from having an inside event, which limits the amount of people, sometimes it's really hot, uncomfortable, to doing something outside. So we reached out to Fort Adams, and they're willing to, at no cost to the district, use up that facility on the north lawn, overlooking the water and the bridge, and help facilitate our graduation there.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Awesome. And thanks to the group that chose to fund the whole event.
So then what if it rains or there's a storm or
So
whatever?
we would either look at having tents or a backup plan, but we're gonna have both contingencies ready to go. So if it's not something that we're able to do outside because of weather or for some other reason, we would have a backup of the auditorium again.
So let's hope for a nice day.
But
You never know. Bipolar or whatever,
That's always plan A, plan B.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the request to use Fort Adams for the Rogers High School grant.
I second motion.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So noted, thank you. It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Vance. All right, so we're moving on to discussion items. We have we're looking to continue this 6.1 until April. I just saw my note. Thank you, Mr. April. The teacher going to put that one on is unable to attend this evening. Would like us to move to the April meeting, which we will. I think we can do this next one. Little Rock. Newport Public Schools Music Department will present the impact of Little Kids Rock on our school music programs. Our benefactor, Ms. Carol Brzezowski, is actually here. We want to thank the Brzezowski family for their generosity in helping the district with many different areas, and mostly within our music and arts, and thank you very much. Mr. McNeely, what do we got?
We have a Promethean board just warming up for a second here.
And while that's warming up, I'm Diane Sheehan, Supervisor of the Arts, and I'd like to introduce most of our music educators who are here tonight, who are presenting the innovative program of Little Kids Rock in all 3 schools in our district. So, Brianna Boreen, she can come on up. She's at the middle school and at Pell for strings. Don Chilton is at the middle school, and Don, you can join us too. Sure. And Dominic Pizzi, come on up. He's at the high school, Rogers High School. And he has the band, orchestra, ukulele, guitar, and chorus. All right. And Scott McEnany, the wizard of technology, and everything that he does at Pell, the JFK Annex, and also he does the strings program at Pell. So Brianna will introduce.
Hi, everyone. Last year, we had the great opportunity to be involved in the Little Kids Rock program, or to get it involved in our schools. We were all able to take, all of our district music teachers were able to take an awesome PD in May last year. And following with that PD, we received a great amount of credits to purchase new instruments for our classroom. The cool thing about Little Kids Rock is that it follows a modern band style curriculum. So these instruments that we're using are instruments our students are already accustomed to listening to, and it makes them that much more readily willing to play them and to experiment with different types of music as well. So this program is used in over 270 school districts. We're really fortunate that we're the first district in the state to be using it, and we're the only district still right now. What's happening in our classroom with this? It's being used, as Diane said, at the elementary, the middle, and the high school levels, but kind of all in different ways, which is great. Our students are following a modern band kind of approach, so the instruments that they're using are kind of things that you'd be hearing in hip hop and pop and rock these days. Electric instruments. We've got electric guitars, electric basses, drum sets, ukuleles, keyboard. We're using vocals, and then there's a great music technology component as well, which helps students to arrange and kind of create their own more technological styles of music. The great thing about this as well is not only are we learning notes and performing and retaining information, but we're hitting probably, in most of our lessons, a creating portion. And the good news for that is it's one of our highest levels of taxonomy, of Bloom's taxonomy, and we're able to hit that and have students incorporating that to create the things that they're interested in. So it obviously benefits our students in a lot of ways. These modern instruments and modern styles, we're tapping into their interests. We're meeting them kind of at their level to expand their knowledge of music. We're also able to really differentiate our instruction. I'll show you an example of that a little later. This program has a great online component, so we're able to access a lot of their video resources, and then therefore teachers are able to go one-on-one and work with individual students at the same time. Student choice at upper levels, at the middle and high school level, students are able to select the instrument they want to work on, or they can kind of move around and choose different things to do as well. And we're able to innovate our current curriculum with things that are more modern and meet the needs of our students today. Some of the challenges we're reaching, space issues at Pell. One of our teachers is currently traveling to different classrooms, so that limits the amount of movement and instruments that those classes are able to use. At the middle school, it's a technology issue. At this point, I don't have a functioning projector really in my room, so I'm not able to access all of the online resources. And we also aren't able to let the students use the music tech portion because we don't really have regular access to laptops for the music program. And then finally, technology and facilities at Rogers is an issue for this. In addition to the tech issues I mentioned, at Rogers, our facilities don't really help us to maintain these instruments and keep them safe. So that's something we're also kind of looking at in the future. But the benefits really speak for themselves, so I'd love to show off some of the footage. The first things you'll see are from the middle school, and then I'll have Scott and Dominic kind of show their high school stuff.
And we're very fortunate that we have the IT director here, Patrick Fuente, who will make your room a priority tomorrow morning.
So these are some middle school students. You'll see 7th graders working with guitar and drum set.
All right, let's make it a little more. Have a 1 and 3.
These are some of our 5th grade piano students. So they're following kind of a video, and I'm able to walk around and help individual students to master their own skills. Some of our parody writing.
I'm up next?
Sure.
Okay.
So at our elementary level, Scott McAnee has some of this footage to show.
Right. These are students playing keyboards. They're playing rather small keyboards, Casio keyboards that will fit on their lap. And this is what they sound like.
Pulse the D. Pulse the D.
Give them a lot of direction. let everyone see her smile. And also the students who are also playing as well, playing the ukuleles. And some of them were even singing at the same
This
time.
is, see both chords there. Here's the C chord with one finger, now the D chord with 3 fingers. So C, C, D, D. C, C. You can sing it if you know the words.
Students, and because we have a department chair who is an art teacher, and she has informed us not to stay within the lines of education, the 4th grade students are now playing harmonicas, which are kind of separate from the LKR curriculum, but we're following the same program.
Okay, cool, awesome. So I'm Dominic PC. I'm over at Rogers.
Okay.
I have a little video.
Can you please use the mic?
Yeah, sure.
People at home won't be able to hear.
Oh, yes. Totally, gotcha. All right, so I have a little video here of my ukulele class and my guitar class / modern band. The first part is ukulele just playing a little bit of a pop song. It's Riptide by Vance Joy. And what's really great with the high school students, you start to facilitate all the work, and then they just kind of take it and bring it into their own direction, and they choose the songs that they like to play. And I have a couple of great singers in my ukulele class also. And then the guitar class, you'll see them doing a little bit of a blues jam, and then we have 2 students on electric guitar improvising for their very first time, actually, in this video. So you get to see them right in a raw state of mind there, and get to see them improvise on the electric guitar for the first time. So here you go. And there you go. We did a little bit more with that today, actually. It was really cool. They started learning a new technique, and there we go.
And Mr. McEnany has a presentation to make. So Carol and Dave Bizarski, if you would come up to the podium, please.
Greetings, Carol Bizarski. We,
the music department of the Newport Public Schools want to extend to you our gratitude for your sponsorship of the Little Kids Rock program. Because of this program, our general music programs have been invigorated at all levels in the district. As the instruments were delivered to us, we all felt that Christmas had arrived early. Our enthusiasm was only bested by our students as they got to explore the new musical tools. Because of the Little Kids Rock program, all of the music teachers have a refreshed common direction that we have not had for some years. Thank you again for your tremendous generosity, signed by all the members of the music department.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone. And Saturday, St. Patrick's Day Parade, Mr. Don Chilton will be with the TMS Marching Band.
And I too do want to thank the Bazarski family because, when we're trying to get all the educational needs and wants, and sometimes, you don't want the fun to slip away, the Bazarski's family's generosity has allowed our music and arts programs to flourish over the past several years. Thank you guys very much. We truly appreciate it. Very much.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Boland?
Yeah, I wanted to also comment that just this last week I read a long study about correlation between kids that are in music programs and higher academic achievement. So I was trying to find it, so I just Googled it. I can't even tell you how many come up that say that kids who participate, the earlier they participate in music programs such as this and playing instruments, they higher the test scores in math and language arts. So, wow, I mean, it's just very exciting to see these kids, who maybe never would pick up an instrument to be doing this. And I want to thank everyone. Very exciting news.
Ms. Gaines?
Back a few years ago, I was an elementary music teacher. I just wish, I'm sorry, only a few years ago, I was an elementary music teacher in Middletown. And I just wish you guys had been around then, because my kids would have had a much more enjoyable music class than they did when I was standing there with just me and maybe a drum. It's wonderful that you're doing this, and I'm sure these are things that our kids will never forget. I still run into kids that I had at Berkeley Peckham and Forest Avenue who remember me as their first music teacher. And it would have been much more enjoyable if I had all of that stuff to give them. It's wonderful. I think you're doing a fantastic gift here. And we're going to remember it. Our kids are going to remember it. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted, for the Bazarski Family Foundation, I want to thank you greatly for everything you've done, and it's been such a great partnership, and it's been wonderful meeting you, and look forward to working with you in the future. So thank you for all you're doing. And sponsoring one of our students to attend a leadership conference is fantastic. Thank you.
And thanks to our staff as well.
And the staff, we can't do it without you. Thank you.
You guys got to take the full thing to get them to work.
I think I want to come back to work.
All right. That's fantastic.
I just want to say, Mrs. Bazarski goes way back to when we were at Coggeshall School, and she introduced a program back then where the children all wrote their own books. Publishing house. It was unbelievable. I know Mr. Hales, your kids have them. I treasure those. What's that? It's a great memory. These kids wrote their own books starting in kindergarten all the way through. They wrote 2 or 3 a year a piece. And I know that you brought that program to the school, and it went on until the end of Coggeshall. But thank you very much for that. So you have a long history of, participating.
Right. I don't think that everybody heard me, because all my good colleagues are reminding me that I missed 6.2, but 6.2 was supposed to be moved to April also. There was a request. I didn't see it in the pre-meeting, and I apologize for that. Thank you. And sometimes you do have to hit me with a stick, because I miss something. That's okay. Mr. Vance is up next. I believe we have a discussion item for school start times. I don't think Mr. Young is here, but Mr. Vance is here to discuss the reasons or their suggestions for next year for, I believe it's Rogers High School.
And Mr. Young is on military duty right now. He'll be returning with us on Tuesday.
So we're looking to start the conversation around returning the start of school at Rogers High School at 7:30. I know a couple years ago that there was an idea of a pilot of moving to the 8:15 time, to evaluate the effects of the later start. Coming in, kind of being new to the system, I was able to look at it with a different lens from being here in the past. And from my perspective and the things that we've gathered of data, the 7:30 start is far more appropriate at this time for Rogers High School, particularly based on the regionalization that we have, where most of our sending schools already start at 7:30, right? And so when they're coming to the high school, they're coming before our start time, our start day, and we end up having field classes for kids that are coming in. And then that earlier start for them and the late start for us also hamstrings the scheduling process. There's a litany of reasons, along the lines of last period of the day, a lot of students that are participating in athletics, they have to leave their classes for a period of time to be able to travel to away games, particularly in AP classes. All of that time in class is vital, and so when they lose that time, it really puts them behind the 8 ball. There are things around the increase of attendance, and there really hasn't been a positive impact to the attendance rates. So we provided a whole litany of reasons to going back to that start time. We surveyed students, and about 60% of the students, so 57.8% of the students wanted to go back to the 7:30 start time, 42% wanted to stay at the 8:15. When we surveyed staff, it was a 70 to 30 ratio. 70 looking to go back to that early start time, and 30 to go back to stay with the 8:15. So, like I said, we're looking to start the conversation around, is that a possibility? And where do you guys stand in that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the discussion is concerned, clearly as far as the school committee is concerned as well, I think the stakeholders or the parents really and the teachers is really the main concern. And I was curious myself. I didn't vote for it the first time for different reasons, because when you're getting older, you need to get up and go to work. So I kind of felt like that's okay. It went and we tried it, and it's not that we're not going to keep it, but I do believe we need to get the conversation rolling out into the street with the parents, and the students need to be heavily involved in this before we go ahead and make a decision, and well in advance of next year, so that we're fully aware. The sending districts can know that we're on cue and everything else. So, I mean, that's from my perspective. I know we can't make any motions tonight, but I know we can direct the superintendent to at least, we can put it on the next agenda. We can have the survey go out. We can do what we need to do, what you feel is best, Mr. Vance, on how to reach the kids coming up from Thompson, as well as, the 3 classes we're going to continue in Rogers High School. Mrs. Gaines?
I supported that move to 8:30 because I thought it might have an impact on our absentee and tardy rate. If you're telling me it hasn't improved it, I see no reason to continue it.
Yeah, it really hasn't improved the attendance rates or the tardies significantly. It's actually also impacted the extra help that students are trying to access after school, because we're taking away that afternoon time. They're either rushing off to practice, or they have to go to work, or they have to go home to watch their siblings. So it kind of hits us on both ends. Their kids aren't necessarily arriving to school with an improved attendance, and they're also not staying after because they're ending later.
Dr. Flowers?
Yeah, what had concerned me from the beginning, I remember saying I kind of voted with my elbow because I wasn't totally convinced that we should have gone that way, but we say, let's try it. The timeliness is, we get the daily reports for attendance, and we say, how much later do you have to start for people to get to school on time? Well, apparently, it just doesn't affect it one way or the other. What bothers me, I think even as much, is that the young people who are involved in sports activities where they have to leave early, you know, they're missing a whole block of important learning time. So that old line about I wasn't there when you taught it is probably what's going to happen. And then the effects on other school schedules too. We know that that was not a happy time for us either when things were changed. It comes down to unintended consequences, and we round up with a lot of them. The fact too that we are working with sending districts for career and tech and various other things. I really think it is time that we revisit this seriously, as we say this is just a discussion item right now, but even talking with some young people at the high school, initially they had said, you know, if we need more sleep, we'll go to bed earlier. I mean, that was their reasoning. But seriously, the intent really, I think, has impacted that not as many young people are staying for the after-school help that is provided in the community school. The numbers really are there. The data are there to tell us that we have to revisit this.
Ms. Boland?
Yeah, I have a couple of points. One is, I have a really probably pretty good recollection that we never really did this to improve it. Like we thought maybe it'd be a consequence that the attendance would be improved in the parties, but it was done because it's what's better for kids. That all the studies say that children who get more sleep are, you know, and so we just thought that we didn't know until now, and the parties have, you know, in many cases have more than doubled since 2015, because we got some information here, which is open to the public on Board Docs if you want to see it. But so I just want to remind the group that that's not why we did it. So, and the second thing is, reason number 3 is NPS pays 2 teachers to come in and teach physical education in the morning. I don't think that's going to change, because we did that also so that kids could come in and take more classes. So that one reason I think is not, maybe, I don't see that changing. We still will probably have to have a 0 period because it really helped to get kids who needed to do band or some, you know, where things didn't fit. So, but anyway, those are my 2 points.
Ms. Sylvia?
I just basically want to agree with what was said. I was very concerned when I saw that there were fewer students going to guidance and spending time after school. I do have 2 questions though. I believe the superintendent is on a state committee to study this and wondered what they're doing. And then the other question would be, what would the effect be on Thompson and Hill? Does everything go up?
Yes, all right, so I'm going to answer the second question first. Yes, it would, for those in the public that are not aware, for our busing schedule, we're on a tiered system. That means we use the same buses to deliver children to school. So we'll do an elementary run, a middle school run, and a high school run. If we switch the time for the high school, it will impact the start times for the other schools. So we would need to work closely with the bus transportation company, and they are aware that we are considering this. But the most important thing we have to do, hopefully by the April meeting, is to notify parents in the community so that parents and community members can set up daycare, whatever arrangements they have to make for their families. That's one of the most important reasons to get this decided sooner rather than later. As far as the state commission, yes, I was appointed by the House Majority Leader to be on a commission, a time commission for high schools in relative and its impact, because as Mrs. Boland has pointed out, research and studies do show developmentally it is better for young people growing up. That's that side of the coin. The reality of the commission passing any kind of resolution or law at this time is most likely not going to happen because it does have a great funding impact on many districts across the state with their bus schedules. We ran into it as far as instructional time to those cases, but for other districts, and especially those that are more widespread than we are as far as the distance they have to cover, it does have time and it has busing cost implications. So at this point in time, I believe it's going to be put on hold. Let's say that. I do have a meeting on Monday. I'll know more. Thank you. You're welcome.
I'm Susan Mello. I have a...
Susan, you want to just step up and
Sure.
introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Susan Mello. I have a student in Pell, and I also have one in Rogers. And with my son Z, he has trouble sleeping at night. I tried to start him at 7:30, and he's still up by 10. By the time he falls to sleep, and I wake him up at 7 in the morning, he still misses the bus for 7:30, and we're only 2.5 blocks away. I end up being the person that does the late run for all his friends. So if all his friends miss the bus, I'm the one going to Chapel Terrace, down Rhode Island Ave, picking up kids all over the place, even Park Home, and making them go to school. Yes, they might be there getting in at 8:15 or 8:20, but at least I'm picking up a good majority of kids because there's not another bus going through to pick up the kids that just missed the bus. I would rather have them go to school, even if it's 5 to 10, 15 minutes late, than not go to school at all. But I'm the parent that's going and picking up all these other kids to get to school. And I just wanted to let you know that I do make an effort to try to get everybody there on time, but it's not always possible. If more kids are missing the bus, I'm making more pit stops to pick up kids to get them to the high school. And I didn't even know if you guys even knew that. So I don't know if it's possible to get another bus to do rounds, to go around and get the kids that missed the first round. Possible, not possible?
We would have to look into that with the bus company, so I'm going to share with you what the high school student shared with me. Superintendent, if you put in a bus like that, a lot of us are going to sleep in and take the late bus. So that's one of the things we have to think about with teenagers. I will share, that's what they shared with me when I asked the question, because someone else had brought up this and wondered that after we had delivered all the children, if we could do a last sweep through the city and pick up people. I'm sure we can go back and look at it. I don't know how predictable it could be, because based upon how many kids miss a bus every day, we could have 20 on one day, we could have 50 on another, or we could have 2. So I think it might be difficult to schedule.
Right, and I think that this just opened the door for discussion. I know we're not going to solve this tonight, obviously, but whatever we put out there, hopefully it's heavily attended, and we get a lot of input from the public for a lot of the reasons. That's just one of the few reasons, and we do need to hear it, and we need to engage it.
Well, I mean, somebody needs to hear it. I can't be, like, parents are not even knowing that their kids didn't make it because they're already, at their job. So I'm the one that is doing their job to take their kids to school because their school, the kids missed the bus.
Thank you.
I'd rather have them go than not go.
Us too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes? Yes, go ahead.
My name is Devin O'Brien. I would simply like to state that no matter what start time it is, I don't think most kids or their parents would approve of their high schoolers going to school with lead water and mold and rats and no heat and cold food, quite frankly. Thank you.
Ms. Kimes.
I think with the attendance issue, we need to think about what is going to really change that behavior. So I know we've started a little bit at Rogers. So I know other schools, I know we don't have a school uniform, but just for example, you have a habits of work and a learning rubric. We've been visiting schools and we've been looking at ways to separate out the standard and the content and then the actual responsibility. So if you are not earning those points or meeting that, in the high school level, they've done things like, well, we have the Colonial, like you've earned this, you can get this from the Colonial. I just think we need to think outside the box with the tardies and the attendance, and I think it's a separate issue than the start time. I mean, it's going to happen in the conversation, but I think we keep saying, why do we have all these tardies? Why is there all this struggle? And so I think we need, what's really going to shape and change that behavior, and think of it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, it certainly is something that we'll obviously thoroughly vet. I mean, it's important, so thank you. The next would be, we have a technology update, and this is from Patrick Kangan. Welcome. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for your work.
All right, good evening. So I just have a quick technology update. So basically in November of 2015, a strategic group was formed. The school committee approved the group in November 2016. And an implementation plan was created by the group and approved as of March 2017. May 2017, a budget was also approved for technology, and we were awarded about $600,000 for new technology in the classroom. September of 2017, the IT director, myself, was appointed. We were able to procure 750 Chromebooks for students, 143 laptops for teachers, 68 classroom projection devices. Those include clear touches, projectors, and things like the Promethean boards. Teachers were offered PD regarding Google Classroom. We use Google as our teaching platform, and advisory groups were created to help out with PD and also carry on the technology initiative. So as of December of last year, the student to technology ratio right now is 1 to 2, so every 2 students are able to share a Chromebook. Before that, the ratio was about 1 to 9. All equipment has been configured and installed. Network capacity was beefed up a little bit, and we are gaining momentum. We are learning as we go. We're able to offer PD. And we're also working with other organizations to create programs that are gonna work for us. But we are having some challenges when it comes to capacity. As I mentioned before, ratio is 1 to 2. So it's taking some time for students to be able to use the technology in the classroom, the Chromebooks, because they're still sharing them. We are also working with teachers to try and integrate technology within the classroom. It's been an ongoing challenge, but we're kind of trying to work on the issues. So our goal is to get to a one-to-one program whereby each student has a Chromebook. We want to make sure that the Newport Public School community reaches digital literacy. We are working with other programs like the Highlander to coach on blended learning. We're also looking to integrate technology with the curriculum. Also, we are continuing to offer technology PD. As I mentioned, we are at the 1-to-1 ratio, 1 to 2 ratio right now, working with different organizations to, like Highlander for PD, blended learning. Our main target is to support this building, Pell, because the equipment in this building is as old as the school. So, and things are falling apart. We have projectors that are not working, student laptops are not working, teacher laptops are failing daily. So we need to work on getting new equipment for Pell. So our target come the beginning of the next school year is to make sure that each student has a Chromebook, get to the one-to-one program. We also want to make sure that we engage teachers. We offer more PD options. We also asking for technology integrationists who are going to work with teachers, making sure teachers are able to integrate the technology within as a tool in the classroom. We also looking to have an ongoing budget number that's gonna maintain the requirements. Because as we know, technology is changes daily, and we need to keep up and pace with technology. We're also in the process of designing a more efficient service desk. We are looking for management software that's going to enable us be more efficient from a help desk perspective. The ability for teachers and the community to be able to email in a support ticket, and then we can triage those issues and be able to respond and communicate and have a database of those correspondents within the help desk software. This is just a snapshot of the current usage. So September of 2017, usage was really low, but as we continued to increase devices, the usage really spiked up. December 25th, that was school break, so there was no usage. And then also the February, March timeframe, that was during school break. This is the 5-year plan by school. So we are looking to replenish technology. The main target will be Pell, making sure that we bring them up to date. We're also looking to get some few extra machines that we can use as spare machines. Right now, the warranty repair process is a little bit cumbersome. It's taking about 2 weeks to get a device fixed through the manufacturer. But we are working with them to try and fine-tune that and get a better process in place. The other item that we are pushing for is professional development. Basically, we want to make sure that teachers are comfortable using the technology in the classroom. And once we have these devices in the classroom, students will be able to own their education, and teachers will just be a guide or a facilitator to help them learn based on their passion and based on what they want, their career goals. It's going to be more of a student-centered learning kind of a program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick.
I have serious problems with this.
Okay, so just, what does CB stand for?
Chromebooks.
Just check, I didn't know. But my real question is, what do we do so we protect these things, so they don't go home and get lost, or do we have a system set up for that?
We don't have a current system yet, but we are looking at different options, insurances, getting an insurance program where there's a copy, maybe the parent or the guardian can have a copy.
Can you put on there, Find My Chromebook? Is that a legal thing to do? Like, I have at home, Find My everything, if I lose anything, I can find it. Their classes?
Yeah, we have the capability of tracking the Chromebooks, so
You can track them.
we can track them if it's stolen or if it disappeared. We can basically wipe it and make it unusable.
But can you find it? Like, can you say it's over at,
We can find the geographic area, but not, yeah.
Now, wouldn't it make sense that the high school kids that have the Chromebooks now, bring those down to Pell, and the high school kids get the newer updated stuff? Because maybe they're more responsible, less dropping of, the Chromebook, stuff like that?
So the Chromebooks that they have, we distributed them last year, so they're pretty much almost new.
Right, so, but you're asking to buy new ones for Pell.
Yes.
So instead of giving Pell the brand spanking new ones, switch it and give them the high school ones that are already there.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, the more responsible kids get the brand new ones.
Well, we can look at that as an option.
So, as a former elementary principal and teacher, I'm going to look at you, Mrs. Miller, and say, I want my teachers to have the best and my kids to have the best. So I'm just sharing that, but to Mr. Coente's comments, we could look at that. Pell does have old equipment, and as Mr. Coente and I discussed today, it is something, in order to have the top-of-the-line software on our products, we have to have the newer hardware. I also want to bring to your attention that in the P-TECH program, we do have trackers because those laptops do go home. So we do have a system on those. The computers, laptops that do go home, we do have something on them.
So then how much of the curriculum will now be implemented just on the computers versus teachers teaching?
You want to repeat the question? I don't know if anybody heard her out.
No, so the question from Mrs. Mello is, so how much of the curriculum and teaching is going to be on the computer versus being in the classroom? And I think I'm going to reply, it's a combination of both these days. The tool is used for learning in real time, 24/7. It's also a tool that's used for students in research, exploration, and helping teachers as far as their curriculum and how they want to introduce a content area. So I think the thing I always have to remember myself is for the children we have in Pell Elementary and Thompson Middle School, they've grown up with cell phones, laptops, everything. They've had them probably since the age of 3. They've known how to operate them. It's more the adults that we have to do a lot of the training and professional development with. in order. I'm not looking at the 20-year-old something teachers looking at me right now. I'm talking about people old like dinosaurs like me. But we do have to realize that the children we have today are children that have grown up in a very different climate and with access and opportunities that they can literally talk to the other side of the world every day. And so for those children, the children of the future, I think the best equipment we can have for them, we should. And also to Mr. Quente's point, in order to have the latest and greatest in software, we also need to have the latest and greatest in the hardware. We had a long discussion about that today.
I have a question.
Excuse me, you can ask, please step up to the podium so that we can hear you.
I think my biggest question, and it's not even anything to do with as far as hardware and software within the school system, but what happens when, are these Chromebooks supposed to go home with students for students to work on independently at home? And if so, do you need Wi-Fi and internet access? Because a lot of students within our school system live at poverty or below, and there are homeless kids in this school that can't afford it.
So did you get the survey they did last week?
No.
So you hit a very good point, Mrs. O'Brien. So we've actually started, it was just one question. It was on Sunday evening. And the question was do you have internet access or Wi-Fi? So that is something out of Dr. Behan's office and Mr. Quente from IT.
Right.
We're working together because as a school district, we may have opportunities to provide those kind of coverages. There's been some very creative ways of helping neighborhoods and helping families to have that, because you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
The children and the families have to have that to be able to send the laptops home. So
Right.
we're already exploring that.
And also at the Pell level, we're talking kindergarten through 4th grade. Even though you say a lot of the younger teachers and younger parents understand, a lot of children are raised by elderly grandparents who don't even know how to turn on a laptop. So what happens to me, that puts the child at a disadvantage when they're sent home with the equipment. Because if there's no guidance within the home, how is the child struggles within the classroom, what does a Chromebook really do for them?
So, as what's happened in other school districts, and I know in other communities, and I'm gonna applaud Carmen, and I'm not gonna remember Carmen's last name, from Edward King House, but there are Carmela. Yeah, she has been offering, and we're offering. There are classes and there are training places for exactly the same thing. And I know Steve Heath. Over at Fab Lab, he brings families in so people can start to understand how to use the technology better. And I believe, I wouldn't be surprised within our own district, we open up some training for families and parents. Because you are correct on that.
Right, because I understand being a younger type parent, and knowing a lot of these children are being raised by grandparents in their late 60s, early 70s who have no interest in computers. Also working at Newark at the age of 18, I've had to train older people on technology, and a lot of them don't want to learn, or just it doesn't fascinate them enough to want to learn. And coming from someone who went to both Rogers and Middletown, and in both schools, I had to teach my technology and computer teachers, how to use a printer, how to set up a printer, how to set up old school internet. It can be frustrating for children who do not have that resource. So I understand that it's great that there are programs out there for older people who want to learn, or even younger people who might not understand or even are around computers all the time. But if it isn't a solid base, it's going to be a big disadvantage for our students. And in turn, it ends up to be a waste of money. And I know you guys probably already thought it all out, but just be prepared that there might be pushback, because there are a lot of older people who don't have the time and don't necessarily even want to know how to use the computer, because a lot of them are afraid. I've worked with retired Navy men who didn't even want to use a mouse. And coming from that background, I can tell you it's very difficult to get older people on a computer, understand the software, and then be able to help the children along with it. But that was just my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
The next item up for discussion was 6.6, but this was brought to us from Mr. Collin. Unfortunately, he was not able to attend tonight, so we're going to move that to the next meeting. 6.7, TMS math criteria for grouping. Dr. Meehan?
So we've been looking at the math scores at Thompson. This year we implemented new curriculum at Thompson for 6 through 8 with the Sadler math program. We have the math group at Thompson. They're part of a design team with a RIDE multi-tiered systems of support program where the math teachers get together and look at criteria, look at data more deeply. But we've definitely been looking at the grouping at Thompson in all content areas. Lori and I, Lori Sullivan, the assistant principal, and I went and met with every cluster at Thompson and talked to them about grouping, and the group that they felt that based on their expertise was to create an accelerated math group, but within 6 through 8. So the math department's been working monthly on criteria. We reached out to 17, or heard back from 17 different districts around the state and in Massachusetts about their grouping practice in middle school. It is heterogeneously grouped with a accelerated track in math. That's throughout the state and a few districts in Massachusetts got back to us. So from there, we created the criteria that you have in front of you, and Colleen and I have been working with the math groups along with Lori and Bob. So that's the work we've been doing over the past few months on developing math criteria. And a letter went home, or is going home, to parents in the progress reports about the criteria, so parents will know and students will know.
I have a couple questions. One is, I mean, we've always wanted to try to increase the fact that we only have like 1 algebra class by the time you get to 8th grade, right? So I'm glad to hear that you're going to now start, trying 6, 7, so just not all of a sudden turn this thing on, but rather we're going to do it. So with this criteria that you've come up with, has anybody gone back to look to see how many children would have qualified with this criteria? Would it have limited it to less kids, or would it have included more kids that would have been included in that algebra? And how are we going to get to the point where algebra is the norm, right? And we have at least two algebra classes in 8th grade. So those are my questions. Like, are we sure it's not more limiting that criteria came up with?
I know this year they have 2 algebra classes. Last year you had 3.
It was a pretty great class.
On average, we have 2 sections of algebra for 8th grades. Last year was a 3-class section of 8th graders. So 2 groups in one of the 8th grade clusters took algebra all year long, and 1 group in the other cluster. But we have a number that's usually about 50 kids, 2 classes of 25. The big thing for 8th grade algebra is they're not getting the common core math for 8th grade, so that's got to be a consideration too. So those students, part of this plan is to start getting that common core material at younger grades, so that when they roll into algebra, they've already got the common core foundation. And to answer your question, do I know those numbers? If it would be, I don't have an answer for you. I'd have to go back and look.
I just want to make sure that we're not limiting, like excluding, because I did see the words that there are absolutely no exceptions to this rule, and I know that sometimes, like, there are certain kids that if pushed, right, like that. Sometimes if you have higher expectations for them, they'll come up to that that's standard. So I hate to see any kind of program where you say there are absolutely no exceptions, because what if it's a special ed student who's, you know, got other kind of learning difficulties, but they need that, you know. So anyway, that's just a concern of mine that it says absolutely no exceptions to this rule.
But we don't want to imply that the other math classes are going to be less, because the program's rigorous, the Common Core standards are rigorous, so what we're trying to do is make it equitable that, you know, all kids are getting a great math foundation. Like one of the things that in talking with the other curriculum directors around the state and assistant superintendents, their bigger concern was that our kids have this solid math foundation, not necessarily that they accomplished Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and then they go to 9th grade and they don't have some of those tight skills, yet they've got that math mind, but some of those skills that you need for geometry, they don't have that strong foundation. So that seemed to be a big concern among curriculum directors, that we're pushing the kids too fast and they don't have that strong math core going to the high school.
One more piece to that. So how are we doing for pacing guides, and how are we doing for common assessments, like going K through the high school? I know that, I think in the high school we have there's an issue, I know, with pacing guides, and I just wonder, like, we want everything in our ducks in a row when it comes to our math programs, and I hate to see it go from year to year and we don't fix that issue. And I don't know how we're doing at the middle or the elementary.
So right now at the elementary school, Tracy Westman and her team, they are going from every content. They're developing year at a glances. They're taking another relook at their alignment. At the middle school with the new math curriculum, it's really given the math teachers an opportunity to pace with each other because they were all using different curriculums. So this year it's been really refreshing for the math teachers to really be pacing with each other. Lisa Knoll, the math chair, has rewritten math curriculum, and she and another math teacher are wrapping up Algebra 2. So they've rewritten all the curriculum and it's posted on our website. So, there's been a lot of work going on with the math departments, for sure.
Well, because I know we have a lot of common planning time at the high school this year. We need to take advantage of it, those common planning times to get those pacing guides and their common assessments to a point.
And I think the early release times that were built in for next year's calendar is going to give every department some really valuable time to look at those common assessments and get it communicated on the website.
Dr. Flowers?
Yeah, I'm looking at the information that we were provided. I just have two observations. One, it seems that the requirements to be in that, the criteria, I should say, are pretty generous. I'm just looking at this. And like you say, they have to meet 2 of the criteria out of the 3 possible ones, correct? This is my own. Now, is this flexible enough that if, say, a 6th grader is not in that, but then shows promise, and I guess you might be in, say, I'm calling it the regular math, and then with the testing you could go up into the accelerate. Say in the 7th grade.
Students would have the ability to move. We move students currently based on how they're doing in with their STAR testing and their benchmarking. The criteria here would grow a little once we get the RICAS in line and have a couple, at least a year or 2 of data for that. At that point would come in, so that we get a little bit bigger of a criteria to meet. But we do move kids when they show promise. We've moved kids up and down if they didn't show promise.
That's
and we're
really
struggling.
yeah. Because if, say, a youngster looks as though, and this is just a hypothetical, that should be an accelerator, then really has a great deal of difficulty. The fact that they are rigorous standards in every one of the classes, that's good, that's great news. But you don't want to have a youngster go into a level and then you're almost, you're going to guarantee a lot of stress and perhaps failure. We don't want that either. But again, the youngsters should be placed where they can get the best fit. And this looks like it would be good for the youngsters who have that extra facility to work well in that. Okay, answer that question.
Thank you. Next would be the consent agenda, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move passage of the consent agenda. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. It goes 4-2. The next would be correspondence.
Can we have a recount of the last vote?
4-2.
4-2.
No. Unless somebody else voted that way. I believe the next is, we did the consent agenda as a whole, so correspondence. I believe the one correspondence that we have is the Newport County Chamber of Commerce, Community College of Rhode Island, and Newport Public Schools presents the Greater Newport Works, and this is a career event and job fair for the Greater Newport area. This is free and open to the public, free parking in the CCRI lot, free campus tours, free educational seminars, free workforce training and workshops. This is going to be held on Friday, April 6th from 1 to 4 p.m. and that's at the Community College of Rhode Island, CCRI Newport County campus on John Chafee Boulevard in Newport. It says employer exhibitor opportunities available for $75, free job postings on the Chamber Job Bank. Any questions, please call the Chamber, 847-1608. I believe it says 80 plus of our students are going to be attending this event, so it's a great event, and I want to thank the Chamber for bringing it to us and giving us the opportunity to sponsor this event. Ms. Gaines?
Are those students from the Career Tech Center?
Yes.
Who are attending?
Yes, they are.
Does that mean they are job ready?
Some of them may be internship ready and next year job ready. Yes.
Great.
Next is the reports of the superintendent and staff, and the first two would be for our business manager, and that would be expenditure and revenue reports, and the Newport Public School restricted grant reports.
Good evening. In front of you, you should have the expenditure, revenue, and grants report. As you can see, we are using a fairly new format for the expenditure report. One of the things that I'm starting to see is staff actually using the encumbrances, which allows us to reserve funds for later spending within the year, which is a great tool to get us to estimate how much money we have till the end of the year. As you can see in some of the areas, we do have certain expenditure lines that are going into the negative, meaning we didn't budget enough in those accounts, but we have other accounts that perhaps have enough funding to be transferred into those areas so we can balance the budget coming to June 30th. You do have about 40% of the budget left, which is what I would expect at this point, including the salaries. So I'm not at this point in any way, shape, or form concerned about the budget, at least in the expenditure part of the budget. If you have any questions about this part, I'm more than willing to try to answer. Okay. In terms of the revenue report, which you have in front of you, we do have some areas that we're looking at, trying to work with the staff in the district to bring in as much revenue as possible. Some of these are dependent on some of the work that the staff have to do. In terms of Medicaid, we have been training staff. I believe there's still going to have more training coming up next week. And so we are in the process of trying to retain as much funding as we can. We are able to go back to at least the beginning of the year, perhaps a little bit further back. So as you can see, we're bringing in some funding. However, the estimated amount at the very beginning of the year was a little high. We do have a couple of areas that seem to be bringing additional revenue, more than was expected. So hopefully over the course of the rest of the year, we will see some of this balance out. We have additional funding in the E-rate. There was some funding that came back to us through the work that was done at the middle school. It does have to be considered a revenue, so at least we have some money coming in, even though it was spent out of the technology area. We also have some additional funding on the rental of properties. You do have some of the funding that was from renting out spaces at the middle school, high school, elementary school. But in addition to that, we're going to start seeing the deposits for this cell tower. So you should expect a little bit of a bump there. A lot of that was not calculated in as part of the municipal income, so you see some surplus in that area to hopefully balance those other areas that we're not seeing as much revenue as we would like. One of them is tuition. I know I brought this up at the last time. We did go back and try to figure out how it was calculated. It seems that they counted pretty much all the students that potentially could have come at one point in time. But obviously, right now, we know how many students are attending, so we can calculate out to the end of the year the expected amount of tuition revenue. So that's one of those areas that we're hoping to calculate a little bit better for next year. My hope is as I go through the budget, the expenditure for the next couple of months, that we can identify some funding in the expense side that we may not be needing to use to balance out the budget to June 30th. Any questions on that?
I really have a question, but in the summertime when we have all these events and around the drive and people are valeting and paying to park, and I notice our parking lot fills up all of a sudden. I'm not sure if they're putting the valeting the cars into our parking lots, but I don't think that that's not outside of our realm to say, sure, you can park all the cars you want here for these events.
We actually rent the parking lot.
You do?
We have. As long as we know and they have made a formal request, we do rent the parking lots.
Okay.
We do work with the city. The city does not want us to rent our parking lot at a cut rate so that people don't use their parking lots, but as long as we're at the same rate as the city, they don't mind us doing the same. It is available parking sometimes at that end of the, especially for the high school, at that end of the city, there's not a lot of places. So we have been able to rent the facilities.
Oh, good. Okay. You're right. You're ahead of that.
Anything else? And then going to the restricted grants and the local grants and the city capital investments and the wonderful revenue for and report for the lunch program. One of the things I did when I came in, I ran some reports from our system. I did get a chance to sit with the city folks to try to make sure that our accounts balance with their accounts. We had the auditors from the city flag a few of the accounts. We have been doing what I'm calling an internal audit, which is going back to see all the expenditures and revenues that we expected to get, that we have records for, make sure the city has the same ones, and make sure we know how much money is in each of those accounts. Some of these are going back 3-4 years. From my discussion with the city folks, apparently the last time this was done was about 3 or 4 years ago. So it was a very good experience to sit with them. We worked through each one of these accounts to make sure that our numbers reconciled them when they didn't. Just so you know, we'll be looking to see, okay, what happened, when did it happen, which piece is not matching up. Is it the revenue or is it the expenditures? I can tell you one of them we did catch, and we already figured out what happened. If you go to P-Tech, it's in the state restricted grant. It's the last one, next to the last one from the bottom. P-Tech High School College Unemployed Partnership. It's the FY16 P-Tech grant. That grant closed, and somebody in the HR office failed to change the account to be charged within the system. So this grant continued to be charged for a salary after the grant was closed. So that one, we know we need to move that $65,000 back into our budget. So that's the kind of work that we're doing in each one of these accounts to make sure that hopefully by the end of the year, we will have accounts that match the city, that the auditors can certify as we have the same numbers, and we can take care of any issues that we find.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips.
The next reports we have are all reports from the superintendent: enrollment, homeless, chronic early and absenteeism, college career and readiness, strategic plan update, and updated partnerships.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have anything remarkable from any of the reports, except that I do want to bring your attention to the college and career report. Ms. Clark has put together, again, a very comprehensive report, sharing with the community and sharing with all of you all the work that's being done in the Career and Tech Center as far as the marketing of NACTAC and the total number of 12,136 families reached and students, and the application updates, the job readiness. We have quite a few applications this year. We're going and reviewing through those now. They're looking at the different programs that we're looking for at Rogers High School. We are working with RIMTA right now, filing for a grant for next year to include marine trades at Rogers High School, and we also have been continuing the discussions with Electric Boat, and Electric Boat has found some ways in order to help us so that we can bring some programming starting, and Mr. Young's being very ambitious, in September of this year, start to introduce our students, some that are already in carpentry, to some of those programs. So there's going to be a lot of work going on and expansion going on in the career and tech area. The administration will be moving out of the building, and we'll be expanding the classroom opportunities for our students in the career and tech building. And we'll have a lot of news, I'm sure, in April of locations and where we're going and all those other fine things.
And on the last page of that report that you did point out for the career readiness and coordinator report, it would be remiss to not give our own Miss Monica Orr a big shout out for getting CTE Educator of the Year promoted through the One Newport application. I give a great shout out to Monica. What a fantastic job. She does a wonderful job. And clearly the kids and everybody seems to love you because that's what they wrote about in the paper the other day. So thank you very much.
So Monica will be honored, and I believe it's next week at a dinner and ceremony. I'll give you the date, but she will be honored soon. Mr. Gomes is looking at me. I don't think it's happened yet. Mr. Young has shared with me it's in the 20s. I know that. So there will be a dinner to honor her fantastic work.
Absolutely.
So she's done a great job.
With that being said, that's the final report. Suggested dates and meetings are, we have dates in the future coming up. Let's see where I can find those. Put those out. March 22nd. Finance Subcommittee at 5 o'clock in Career Tech. March 23rd, Wellness Subcommittee at 10 o'clock in the morning, Career Tech. April 2nd, Parent Advisory Council, 5:30 Saturday evening right here in the library at the Bell. April 9th, school committee and city council liaison at 1 o'clock at the library in the Stride Room. And then our next regular meeting would be here on April 10th at 6:30.
And also parent-teacher conferences for Rogers High School had to be postponed due to the snow. So Mr. Vance is going for 2 dates out. I believe it's Tuesday, March 27th. And there'll be an announcement going out to families as well as slips for parents to sign up for conferences. I believe he's going to be announcing that tomorrow or the next. But since we're on TV, we'll let the folks in TV land know when it's going to happen.
Yeah. So,
Is there gonna be school on the 27th?
No.
Okay.
No school for students on parent conference days as of now. That is something we're working towards going to the future, hopefully.
all right, well, seeing nothing else on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Well, it's coming at me. All in favor? Any opposition? Thank you very much for everybody coming out tonight. Appreciate it.